Hey guys, I splurged on the BoxThrone board game shelving system. Pretty pricey, but it's very specialized. It's only for really holding board games, and it comes in multiple pieces. I'll show you what it involves, and I'll show you as I put it together. But I think it's gonna look slick. What's nice about it is it allows you to access all your board games without having to unstack several to get to ones that are below other games. You'll see what I mean. So the BoxThrone is sold in a kind of a Kickstarter model, despite it being out for several years. So the instructions are kind of acting as if we're still backing a Kickstarter, and it comes in multiple boxes. I actually got the box legend, or it's the triple shelf. So we've got some boxes over there, and I've got these boxes here. I also have the short BoxThrones that go on top, so it'll be basically like a triple decker with a tower on top of a tower and then a small tower on top of the whole thing, and there'll be 3 of them with multiple sections. But anyways, here's the individual pieces that hold the columns, which are these right here, and the whitest of whites columns and main supporting shelves, plus the blackest of blacks, the wire shelves that hold the individual games. So see how this goes together. Now, one thing to know is, and it's not super well diagrammed on the instructions, but you have to look real careful. They start off with positioning this upside down, and the way you know it is, you'll see these little dots. These represent these screw holes that are only on the underside of the shelf, and they're for the wall mount brackets, so that you can fasten the topmost one to the wall to anchor it so it doesn't tip over. And I think that's pretty important, because from previous reviews, these things are not sturdy by themselves. It's almost like these wire shelves provide some of the structural support to keep everything rigid, and this will just provide you the ability so that if somebody accidentally pulls something from the top, it's not going to yank pull the thing down, because once it's all together, it's going to be pretty heavy. And then so after you install these onto the underside of one shelf correctly, you're going to then, and you have to make sure that the keyholes are in this orientation, so that when it flips over, the narrow part of the keyhole, which is where the shelves go into, are on the bottom, so that the shelves lock into place. And over here, they show you flip it over and mount it to the top surface of another supporting shelf, and then you fasten it there. And you can almost kind of tell there's like a little raised area on the bottom of these that corresponds to this. You can see the little raised area, whereas the top side is actually pretty flat. So you can see here's flat, here's kind of raised, and plus you have the giveaway, which is wall bracket holes, which they're not on the top. So anyways, we'll see how this goes together. So if I'm going to put this first one in, again, I have this upside down, so I got the bottom side facing up, and these supporting members, again, I have to make sure that I'm putting it effectively upside down, which means that the smaller part of the keyhole that will hold the shelves is upwards. And then you notice there's like these little raised little nubs. They go in the back hole, or the hole that's closer to the edge. So it just goes in like this, and just like that. And then we're gonna put some screws in here. All right, so they come with these Phillips screws. They go in like that, little cap screws, and they just use a Phillips screwdriver. Shelves actually have threaded inserts that are pre-installed, so these things thread in really pretty nice. There you go. So that's pretty good. And you can see the threaded the brass inserts inside there in the hole. So I'm gonna get the rest of them on there and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so now I've mounted all 4 columns on the first shelf. Again, on the underside, you can see the supports there, the support hole, the holes for the supporting brackets. And then, as you can tell, they're oriented so this is the front, this curved area. So you want to make sure that these are oriented like this. And it really can only go that way because the little pins that are in the columns really only go through the holes that are not threaded. Now I'm gonna turn the whole system, or this whole structure, right side up, because right now it's upside down, and put it on top of that one, and then put screws in there, and that'll effectively complete one section. I would say it's kind of funny because they show 2 guys lifting this up and flipping it over, and I just kind of did it all by myself on my knees because it really isn't that heavy, and I fit it on there and yeah, fit like gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in these holes, and that'll effectively complete this one section. Okay, first section is completed. BoxThrone logo, like a little guy with a crown, embossed into the thing, and there's one on each top side. That's another way you can tell it's the top. So anyways, so that's one. I'm gonna make up another one here, and then I'm gonna set it on top of that, and that'll be one portion. So we'll get there. Okay, so I've completed installing 4 columns to the underside of the what would be the top shelf of the two section column. I'm going to be doing the 2 plus a short throne on top, so it'll be like 2.5 sections effectively. So now I got to flip this over and put it on top of that one. Okay, so now I've completed 2 sections and stacked them. They go like that, and then I'm gonna put the short throne on top of that, and that will have the brackets. Now, one thing, we have a rug that's kind of in the way here, so I'm actually gonna be cutting some melamine shelf down to size to be slightly smaller than this, and it will kind of go up to here so that the front edge of this is gonna be raised above, well, actually the whole thing will be above the level of our rug. I can't move our rug out because, well, one, we have our table here, and not only that, but it's centered underneath our light fixture. So I don't want to have to move the table away from the center of the light fixture and at the same time move the rug as well. So basically put these on some melamine planks that are going to rest on the floor, and so that the front edge of this will overhang the rug a little bit, but it won't be, the rug isn't going to be underneath it. It's going to be 3/4 inch melamine. So anyways, so it'll hang over here, but that'll be fine. So I'll have to do that tomorrow, but I'm going to finish installing this so I have an idea of how it goes together. And I'll have 2 more after this to do later. Real quick, here's what the L brackets are that attach to the wall. So this would supposed to go right here, and by doing that, attached wall. Now, one of the criticisms I read online is that this was all designed assuming that there was no floorboard, that, you know, conceivably if you did like this, that would have to be in a wall that was where there's no floorboard, because you'd be pressed right up against the wall. So I think this is supposed to, is to account for that. But some people have complained that if they have much thicker floorboard than the standard like this, the baseboard, they'd run in a situation where this wouldn't reach. So I think I'm hopefully going to be okay. Looking at it, it looks like it's going to be just long enough, but we'll ultimately see if that will work. It does come with the screws to mount this to here, and it does actually come with drywall anchors, and so hopefully it'll all come together. One more thing about these is I'm supposed to actually mount these to the underside first before I mount the columns to the underside of the top. I didn't want to stack this like 3 high because then it would be really tall, but these are about half the size, so that's perfect. So you can still reach the top gains without having to like get a step stool. So here you can see what the short throne column looks like. It's clearly about half as tall as the full size, and I'm going to mount these to the underside. Here I've put my wall brackets on, yeah, I'm going to mount these to this, and then we'll stack it on top of the whole unit. One little nice touch are these little plastic plugs that fit into the holes like that, so that way they cover. This is obviously the very top, the short throne, which is going to go on top of the stack, and so obviously I'm not going to use these holes, so just push these in like so. That looks pretty good. And this is the short throne after it's been fully put together. Clearly about half the size of a full column, so that's going to go at the very top. But I'm going to finish putting these plugs in, and then we'll mount it on top and see how it looks. Okay, so now I've got the full BoxThrone unit with the short throne on top, and made sure all the keyholes are oriented correctly, so the small end is at the bottom when it's finished. Again, when you're putting it together, you're putting it together upside down until you flip it. And yeah, with our normal standard baseboards, we do have enough length in our brackets to get on there. So if you do have big, thicker baseboards, that's something to keep in mind. You might need different brackets, which could be a kind of a pain. The rug here is going to have to stay there, so I'm going to put some melamine, because right now I have a gap here, and I'm going to actually put a 3/4 inch piece of melamine that's going to raise this up. It'll be hidden underneath there because I'm going to cut it slightly smaller than the actual BoxThrone base, but this will be raised up. There'll be a little gap underneath, but at least it won't be resting up against that. But yeah, so that's how it goes together, and then I'll put these shelves in, and have the next shot will be the whole thing almost put together. Okay, so one issue I ran into, obviously, with our rug here that we have, and I can't move it because otherwise it will be out of center for the room. The way this sits right now, this is raised up about maybe just about a 1/4 inch on the front because of the rug. So it's not even resting on the ground, it's just pressing up against the baseboard. So what I'm gonna do is I got these melamine boards, and I cut them. It's like 1/48 inch board. I cut it into thirds. It's about 3/4 inches thick, and I'm going to basically put it underneath here, and it actually will fit between the wall and the rug, and it'll basically the BoxThrone is going to rest on this melamine. Now, if you notice, I put 4 non-stick skids. These are these inexpensive. Actually, these were on clearance, so they're like $1, just a little over $1 for 8. So that was a good deal. And they're really thin, which actually works out perfect because up here we have the ledge that the underside has on the boards. It's probably about a 1/16 of an inch, or maybe less, maybe a 32nd, and I was like, oh, if I put this underneath, like, it's going to be raised up on the front and leaning forward on the back because of the lip right there underneath the thing. You can see the lip right there. So these little discs are actually about that thickness. So if I had this thing up against the wall, this lip will raise it up on the back, and then I put one of these discs on the front to make up the difference on the front so it'll be level. And it's pretty close, so I think it'll be perfect. So we'll see how it goes. All right, well, the BoxThrone is set up completely. I've got 3 main towers with 3 short thrones up on top. And it took a little while to get this anchoring done because of the irregularity in our sheetrock. You can see that there's a gap there, so I put a nylon spacer between the bracket and the wall. So it's not awesome, but it'll have to do. The rest of them are all screwed in, and actually a couple of them are even the studs. So that should be pretty strong. And I made sure that one tip I have, if you get one of these, I put the center one in first. If you're getting 3 towers, I put the center one first in the center of the room. And then I made sure that I put in, when I place the towers, I would put in a shelf in between them to make sure that they will be able to line up as close as perfect as I can, so that I don't have any issues lining them up, and I double checked them before I screwed the brackets to the walls. So also got these BoxThrone drawers as an extra. I will say that it's kind of an unusual design. They have this little hole here with a neat little logo here of I guess a box. You know, you can put your finger in there. And I didn't notice from the pictures on the website, but yeah, they intentionally bent the flap. First I thought this was accidentally bent, but this is intentional, and it's meant to be a handle to pull this out. I'm not entirely sure why they did that, because there's enough clearance, and I have this on the topmost holes underneath the shelf. And so really, if a game was here, you could still stick your hand in here and grab this and pull it open. So I think this was unnecessary. It's a little bit wonky looking, but it is what it is. But yeah, it came together nice. Anyway, it's time to load it up with games, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's loaded up. Finally got these shims. These are those little kind of soft, rubbery, clear plastic shims, polymer shims, I guess. I'm gonna stack them together like that, and stick them underneath here. And it just gives enough resistance where I know it's going to be secure. Yeah. I mean, it sticks out a little bit here, but you don't even see it. I mean, you back up, you don't even notice it. I did the other ones also already, so I feel much better about that, because now there's a little bit of a support underneath this little part that's sticking out over the rug, so we'll give it a little bit of protection against hopefully warpage. So that's it. And here's my final BoxThrone organizing system. Well, that about covers my experience putting in a BoxThrone board game shelving system. I think it's really awesome. It looks phenomenal, and it really displays all the games in a nice manner, and they're really all very easy to pull out and put right back where they belong. I'd recommend it, and if you're interested in investigating further and purchasing, if you use the link in the description below, I'd appreciate it. I do get a small commission out of that, but also if you can hit the like and subscribe. I'm going to try to grow the channel a little bit more over the next year, and we'll have some playthrough videos as well as maybe some stream videos as well. But until then, we'll catch you next time on Board Out of Our Minds. Have a good one.